Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how to make a double tent fold card with Aperture. This is a really simple card and that's what I like about it, because you could literally mass produce this, and it also, you can use up offcuts of card that you've had from previous projects. So this is the first one I made. Obviously this looks like a normal tent card, but we've just got this second tent card inside. And it also then means, obviously, that then you can write your message inside, whereas normally you'd have like the big aperture and then you have to write on the back. So it's quite nice because it just protects the, obviously the, you know, where you're going to write your message. So that was one I did, and this was another one I did, a bit more fancy, and I used the Do Crafts Bluebirds and Butterflies, I think it's called, Bluebirds and Butterflies, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I used that pack for this. So yeah, so let's get ahead. So what you need for this is you need a card, a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 card blank. This was actually sold as a 6 by 6 card blank and envelope, and obviously it's not. So just watch out for that. If you haven't got a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 card blank, you can get yourself a 5 3/4 by 11.5, I believe, inch piece of card. Yeah, 11.5 inch piece of card, and then just score it down the middle at 5 3/4, and that will give you the card blank. Now normally, obviously, card blanks open that way, but we're going to turn it so it's a top opening card. Okay, so you also need a matte piece of card, which is 5.5 by 5.5, and a pattern piece, which is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So to start off with, we're just going to stick the pattern onto the mat, and we're going to make sure that we glue all over the back of the pattern piece, because we're going to be cutting an aperture out of it in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so once you've stuck your piece of paper down, if you've used wet glue like I just have, do not do anything yet. Don't cut any apertures out of it, okay? You just need to leave that to dry. Because otherwise what will happen is when you cut your aperture out, the pressure of putting it through the die cutting machine will send all your glue splurging out of the sides, and if you've used Miri card as your matte layer, you will end up with it taking the finish off and stuff like that, and just glue everywhere. So I'm going to leave mine to dry for a second, and then I'm going to come back in a minute and we're going to die cut the aperture out of it. Right, so while that's drying, before we cut the aperture out, I'm just going to go ahead and stick the next bit in. So this, you need a piece of card that's basically, you can make a 4 by 4 card blank, okay? If you haven't got a 4 by 4 card blank, that's fine. You can just get a piece of card that is 4 inches by 8 inches and use that, and then find a topper that will go on top. If you want, you can make this, I mean, this piece is a little bit smaller than 4 by 4. The other ones I used were 4 by 4, but just depending on your topper, obviously just go ahead with your topper, and just be mindful of whatever aperture die you use, it needs to fit. So I was going to use this circle die. In fact, yeah, I still could, but I might actually go square with this one. I might go for a square aperture. You can use any aperture. You can use a square one, circular, star shape, whatever you want, really. I decided that the circle would work better for the other cards I did, but I think for this one, I think a square is going to work better. So anyway, go ahead and stick down. So you've got your little card blank. Go ahead and stick your topper onto the front of your card blank. Again, making sure that it's a top fold. It's a tent card. It's not a normal, you know, the way we'd normally open a card blank. So I've gone ahead and stuck that down. So I'm going to put that to one side for the moment. Now I've chosen 2 little squares. This is obviously for my aperture, the small one, because that just fits. You really want a die that is going to be slightly smaller than the front of your card. Please excuse my cat. She's meowing at me again. Okay, so you need something that's just slightly smaller, because you kind of don't want to, you want this outside bit to be a surprise when you open it up. So I'm going to use this square, and I'm going to take my front panel and lay the die on. I'm going to tape it into position because I do not want it to move when I'm die cutting it. That would be not good at all. So we're going to die cut that. Okay, now, so I've die cut the aperture out. I'm just going to peel this off. Now, one thing I would like a border around the outside of my square. So on here, I didn't have a border around the outside. It was just literally the cut edge. Same with here, and I just put gems on it. But on this one, I would like to have a border, okay? If you don't want a border, then at this point, you don't need to do the next couple of steps, okay? So I'm going to just turn this over, and I'm just going to put a little up arrow on my card so I know what I'm doing. So you've got your little pop-out piece, so you can keep that for another project. And then this piece, we're just going to lay it on the card like this. And we're going to take our die that we just used, lay it back inside the gap so it literally fits right back in again. And we're just going to draw around the inside of the die. Okay, then you can take this piece off and that can go to one side, and we're now going to open this card up and we're going to die cut, put the die back on place, and we're just going to die cut that white piece out. And again, I'm just going to washi tape it into position. Okay, so that gives you, and obviously you've got another piece here, and the pencil line that you've got, you could just rub that out and then you can use that on a different project. So that gives you your aperture. Now, so what I did with the other ones was I just literally took this, I laid that on there so it lined it up, and then I've stuck that down. Okay, but because I want to have that frame, what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping this is going to work, is I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take the next size up. So this is the one we use for the aperture. This is the next size up in the set. And I'm just going to turn it over and I'm going to put it over the top like this. And I'm going to die cut this out. Okay, so I'm going to die cut that out, taking that out. This can go to one side, so you're left with that, which is a perfect frame. So if I turn this back over again, what I can do is I can pop that straight back in. Okay, so it just means you haven't got to look for another, because I was struggling to find another piece of this dark turquoise. I just haven't got one anywhere, so yeah, so I thought that's the way I can do it. So we're going to bring our main card base back in now, and we're going to stick this in place, and that's why I put the arrow on it, so I know it's that way up, because sometimes you can cut it and then it doesn't quite fit when you try. Look, if I try and do it like that, I've got a big gap here and nothing there, but that's all fine, so I know that it has to be that way round. So we're going to go ahead and stick this down now. Okay, so there you have your card. Now obviously you've got that white border, and obviously you could do it with a white border if you wanted to, but I quite like the teal border. So I'm now going to take some glue and we're going to stick this teal border that we've done back in again. Right, so there we go. So I've popped it back in like a puzzle piece basically. I have got a little bit of a white edge on this corner, but it's not too bad. Probably if you wanted to, you could put the frame on first and then stick your main panel down, because then you'd know you wouldn't have a white edge. So that's another way of doing it, but I'm not really bothered about that. It's not too bad. Okay, so when you've done that, so there's your card with the frame. So then what you want to do is take your little tent card piece that you've got, and we're going to glue the back of it, and then we're going to pop it in here, and we're going to make sure that it fits nicely in there and it's also straight inside. Okay. So I've just put it on. I've used wet glue. I'm going to close it and just make sure that it is nice and central. And I'm going to open it up and make sure it's nice and straight. It's not gone squiffy, which is fine. And then we're just going to stick it down. And there you have your card. And I'm just going to add a few little sequins onto it, or gems or something onto it, just to add a bit of, I usually like to have something going across it just to finish it off. Okay, so there you have the finished card. So as you can see, I've added a bit of sequins on there just to have a bit of sparkle. But yeah, and obviously when you open it up on the side there, you can see it's the double tent fold. So hopefully you'll have a go. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then you'll never miss a video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.